Frankie Russo. Sorry, I'm running a little late. Frankie Russo coming straight out of Brooklyn. I just was, trying to gather as much information as I can. I watched my favorite broadcasters on television. One of them anyway, Bill O'Reilly, and I watched some of Tucker. I just wanted to get an idea of what data they've gotten to this point on this whole thing. But anyway, so I decided before we start, I just want to put my disclaimer out. Russo disclaimer, right? We're on the outside looking in. It's on that we decided to put out this statement. For the record, we don't sit on any U.S. congressional oversight committees, nor are we a member of any International Atomic Energy Agency, nor do we sit on the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and nor do we sit on the National Security Council. In other words, we don't have any access to any classified documents, and with great care, thought, and responsibility based on court papers, judges' decisions, peer-reviewed journal articles, and well-researched open source articles, we search for statistical significance in all likelihood and all probability. We look for trends, inferences, patterns, and then we attempt to conceivably reach reasonable conclusions. By the way, go to my website, frankierusso.media. I believe we're close. We are close. We have that. We're within the standard deviation. Okay, it's a quasi model. Okay. Now, we have to have some sort of process. That's what I'm trying to show, that we have a process. We had this process at ABC, and I have it here. So I decided, because I was going through a lot of stuff, and this whole thing with this wiretapping thing, and obviously Flynn, according to all reports, and it was broadcasted on numerous outlets as well as in published reports. We know that was wiretapped, and it was illegally leaked. So there's where it starts, and then we'll see. We see where it goes, because I think this thing with Sessions really put DT over the top, and we'll see what happens with this. Because and he has a right to defend his administration, and I'm not, I'm not going to lie. My disclaimer is out there. I am also a Trump supporter. To be honest and real as possible. So this is what I did. I got a few articles here, and this is what I found. And to me, this is the reason why I laugh when they say Trump is with Russia. And this is the reasons why I laugh. The stuff that I pulled off, numerous articles, Reuters, not a friend of Trump. Reuters is, they hate Trump, okay? And I just, before I get into the data, I found this on Drudge. FBI probes involved 300 people admitted to United States as refugees, congressional service sources. So this is, Trump did a travel ban today. I think he took Iraq off the original 7, and I don't have all the details, but he modified it, and we'll see what happens with it. Something with he's allowed. I don't have it in front of me, and we'll talk about it during the week as the data comes out on it. So he did come out with a modified version of the first one that we know. The FBI is investigating 300 people who were admitted into the United States as refugees as part of 1,000 counterterrorism investigations involving ISIS or individuals inspired by the militant group, according to Reuters. Department of Homeland Security did not provide details of the investigations or the current immigration status of those 300 individuals during a briefing with congressional staffers. So whether this, to me, if you look, people say, well, this is an outlier. 300, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, right? I just want to put it out there. So we'll see. We're going to get more on this. This was on Drudge today. Drudge report. Now, we did at 77 WABC, and I'm going to show you from these articles that I pulled off the internet, Reuters, and some other publications, that conceivably, this is the reason why I laugh. And this is, to me, is what the underlying, this is the underlying theme of all of this wiretapping and this whole thing is, can you say, mainstream media and the anti-Trumpers and the people that are against Trump want to claim that this Trump is a Russian agent, and without even hearing from Clapper, who unequivocally said there was no collusion between the Trump team and Russia, without even going into the professionals in the intelligence community, I'm just going to say, on the outside looking in, looking at the Obama-Clinton crime family timeline, can I see a pattern? Can I see inferences? Is there something in this timeline that could help me further understand, maybe not, maybe have a better idea of what this whole thing's about? And I talk about it all the time. Material support, money, weapons, training, and human assets. And each instance, from the 5 Iranian Quds Force, at the end of the funnel is Iran. The Bergdahl trade, we're in the Sahadan city of Iran. Deal where Iran's back on OPEC, and we got the 400 million to 1.3 billion of unmarked bills to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Iran's on the funnel end of that one. And then we got the 400 million of Washington, the Wall Street Journal article, 400 million monthly during the negotiation with Mohammed Zarif. At the end of the funnel, Iran is there. The money to the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, Iran is on the end of that. Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo. The Morsi debacle, he was tried and convicted in jail for espionage with Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah. Iran's at the end of that one. Syria, Iran gives Syria 3 to 15 billion. Syria fronts for Iran. Iran's at the end of that one. And crazy enough or not, Benghazi, the data hasn't come out yet. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn confirmed it. Kenneth Tillman's research out in the Middle East, North African region, Benghazi was not Ansar al-Sharia the hit. It wasn't a Muhammad video. It was the Iranian Quds Force and Hezbollah. It was a cover-up. That was the cover-up. So Iran conceivably is on the end of Benghazi. And then we got the North Korea missile technology data going to Iran, and the Obama team still negotiating the deal. Unbelievable. Iran's there too. I'm saying to myself, we know Iran, so we know outside looking in, there is some sort of strategic alliance between Iran, Russia, and Syria. It's in mainstream media, it's in mainstream intelligence community. To what extent, I can't say to what extent. I can't say to what extent, but there are reports that there's an oil deal, $1 billion oil deal between Putin and Iran, and then other reports came out recently where it went from 500, because remember, Iran is on OPEC now, because Obama, Iran's in OPEC. So Iran's according to the original agreement. Like I said, I don't have the agreement in my hand. I never read the agreement. According to published reports, it was supposed to be that Russia was going to buy 500,000 barrels a day from Iran, and now, according to the most recent reports, it was changed to 100,000. But there is a deal, conceivably, because it was also reported by the governments themselves, particularly Russia, that there is an energy deal between Russia and Iran. To what extent, I don't know, but there is one, and we have some inklings of it. It involves oil. Part of it is oil. Okay, so that's the beginning of this. We know Russia has an updated military base in Syria. We know Iran gives Syria 3 to 15 billion annually. Washington Free Beacon, Congressional Research Service. So I ask you the question, who is this? Who's the Russian agent? Trump, right? Now, I did further. I went further with this, and I put into the Google bar, the Google search bar. I put Russia, and I put Iranian Quds Force leader General Soleimani. Now understand, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Iranian Quds Force, is the special forces unit of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. And this is what I came up. This is from Reuters. This was in December 16th of 2015. I got 4 articles. Report in denial that Iranian commander met Putin in Moscow. Okay. Report in denial that Iranian commander met Putin in Moscow. An Iranian news agency said on Wednesday, this is Reuters. Reuters hates Trump. An Iranian news agency said that the commander of foreign operations for Tehran's elite Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Quds Force, General Soleimani, had met with Putin, but Putin's spokesperson flatly denied it. According to the Iranian news agency, General Soleimani, who visited Moscow in July to aid in planning the Russian military intervention in Syria, there for talks with Putin and senior military and security officials. Russia and Iran support Syrian President Assad against various rebel groups in that country's civil war. The Kremlin, a Kremlin spokesman said, no, there was not. So they're denying the meeting between Soleimani and Putin. Reuters put this out there. Why they put this out there, I don't know. But there was rumor that General Soleimani, if I'm not mistaken, violated, because I have another one here. Okay, I'm gonna go to that one now. Iranian Quds Force leader visited Russia despite UN travel ban of Iranian official. This is August 7, 2015. That was December 2015. This is August. This one's before. Okay, Reuters. Here's another one. Iranian Quds Force chief visited Russia despite UN travel ban. So he visited Russia. What does that mean, Frankie Russo? I mean, what does that mean? Well, I got more article. Wait. The head of Iran's elite military Quds Force, who's subjected to a United Nations travel ban, because you know that the Quds Force is a United States Treasury designated terrorist entity, and there was a bill on the floor, HR 584 by Senator Michael McCall from Texas, and it outlines why the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps should be a designated terrorist entity, and it didn't make it anywhere, obviously. So we got General Soleimani, chief of the force, which is an overseas arm, chief of the Quds Force. Overseas arm of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, has been subject to an international travel ban and asset freeze by the UN Security Council since 2007. And this is during the Iranian. The reason why they talk about this is during the fake fraud Iranian nuke deal. But the Iranian official, who declined to be identified, said Soleimani had made the trip in the second half of July. So this is reported by Reuters, and this is the first time I'm reading this. This is reported by Reuters, and an Iranian official is giving this reporter the story. So he was reporting it. He calls the person that's giving him this information on General Soleimani, calling him the Iranian, or her, the Iranian official. said Soleimani had made the trip in the second half of July, where he had held talks covering regional and bilateral issues and a delivery to Iran of S-300 surface-to-air missiles and other weapons. On my scope, one of my scope listeners, who I chat with during the week, was claiming that Russia gives weapons to Iran. Maybe this is where this data is coming from. I don't know. Soleimani had arrived in Moscow in July, and according to this individual, met with Putin. This is another published report. And the defense minister of Russia was there for 3 days. Fox News reported it, according to Reuters. Fox News is in here. A Kremlin spokesman denied any meeting between. It was denied. Yeah. Kremlin spokesman denied it. However, 2 U.S. security sources told Reuters the meeting between Putin and General Soleimani took place. So Soleimani conceivably, in all likelihood, in all probability, probably met with him. Fox News reported it. Reuters is reporting it, which is not a friend. So we got Fox News. We got some broadcasters there are with Trump, some aren't with Trump. Reuters hates Trump. Okay, Reuters hates Trump. U.S. security sources told Reuters the United States believed the meeting between Putin and Soleimani took place. The U.S. ambassador to the United States, Samantha Power, said all states were obliged to enforce the ban that was against Iran. These are very concerning reports, but we're still tracking down the facts. Both Russia and Iran backed Assad. Indications of a new diplomatic push to end the war have emerged, etc. And it just gives you a little background on the Quds Force. Sanctions on the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Quds Force, its leader, General Soleimani, and the entire network still exists. And the designated Quds Force as a supporter of terrorism in 2007. European Union did the same thing in 2011. So just give you a little background. And a Russian security expert with close ties to the country's defense ministry, Igor Kodchekov, could not say whether the visit took place, but said Moscow and Tehran were close allies in fighting ISIS. Russia was cooperating with Iranian authorities to stop ISIS. Any meetings that help these efforts can only be good. So they're using the efforts, this ISIS thing, to subterfuge what's really going on, I think. I don't know for a fact, but we'll see. I found some other articles that I thought were rather interesting. This was published in October of 16. So this is pre-Trump. This is all pre-Trump. General Soleimani, Iran's architect of Russian operations in Syria. Okay. And you mean to tell me Trump is a Russian agent? Really? Obama allowed the coup d'etat in Syria. That basically was it, right? The civil war. He allowed the coup d'etat. In other words, Assad to continue to do what he's doing. Obama sat on it, like he did in Iraq with Maliki, and like he did with Maliki, Assad in Syria. We talked about Morsi. Well, Sisi did his thing over there. Libya, we were very much involved, even though they tried to call it Operation Zero Footprint, but that wasn't the case. So we have Syria, we have Iraq, we have Libya and Egypt, and we have there's one other one I'm leaving out. It'll come back to me. So Soleimani's Iran's architect of Russian operations in Syria. So here's another another conceivable. This is by a Russian paper. Okay, Russian paper. So it's just another perspective. Do I say this is? I don't know. I'm just going to read it. It's my first time I'm reading it. So Soleimani is a highly influential Iranian general who played a key role in persuading the Kremlin to launch its military operation in Syria 1 year ago. But who exactly is Soleimani, and how far does his international influence spread? After Russian aircraft were deployed in Syria on a permanent basis in 2015 and began to deliver strikes on local terrorist groups, Reuters, now here's a source, Reuters reported that one of the major architects of this operation was Iran's General Soleimani, head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Special Units Quds Force. According to news agencies, it was Soleimani who described the scenario of military action in Syria to the military leadership in Moscow and outlined the possibilities of influencing the situation during his supposed visit to the Russian capital in July of 2015. Those are the two articles we read about this conceivable visit between Putin, the defense minister of Russia, and the Iranian Quds Force General Soleimani. Soleimani put the map of Syria on the table, according to the sources are not identified, so I can't actually say it's true or it's close to being true. Let's put it that way. But it does confirm to some extent that he was there, conceivably. Soleimani put the map of Syria on the table. Russians were very alarmed and felt matters were in steep decline, that there were real dangers to the regime, the Syrian regime, the Assad regime. The Iranians assured them that there is still the possibility to reclaim the initiative. At that time, Soleimani played a role in assuring them that we haven't lost all the cards. Soleimani is said to have made 4 trips to Moscow, according to this article. July, August, December of 2015, and mid-April in 2016. This is a source, it's confirmed, but the source has not been identified. So Soleimani's trusted arms supplies are discussed with him. The source said, and Soleimani discussed the Syrian operation with his Russian colleagues as early as 2013, but the destabilization of the situation in Ukraine slowed down these consultations for 2 years. Interesting. Soleimani is included in the UN's blacklist of 15 Iranian military and political leaders who are prohibited from leaving the country because of their connection with the development of a military nuclear program. So that's what this article claims. Now, okay? And here's another one. This is by Reuters. The New Yorker magazine did a big story on, I'm going to read it tomorrow, and I'll talk about it tomorrow night on General Soleimani. How the Iranian general plotted out Syrian assault in Moscow. Reuters. They hate Trump. This is big media. Reuters is big media, right? Associated Press. Reuters is big media. Big mainstream media. They hate Trump. Okay, fact. At a meeting in Moscow in July, so I got 3-4 articles, Reuters and this other article. I'm going to get more for tomorrow. A top Iranian general, Soleimani, drew a map of Syria, drew out a map of Syria to explain to his Russian hosts how a series of defeats for Assad could be turned into victory if Russia helps. General Soleimani's visit to Moscow was the first step in planning for a Russian military intervention that has reshaped the Syrian war and forged a new Iranian-Russian alliance in support of Assad. So why can't people say, in all honesty, in all likelihood, if anybody is a Russian agent here, it has to be Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, this is like unbelievable. Conceivably, we don't have all the data on Benghazi, but we have Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who claims that he has seen intelligence that cannot be discussed, but that Iran is being discussed in the Benghazi hit on the mission, where the unfortunate hit of 4 Americans being killed. And Kenneth Tillman wrote a book, Dark Forces: The Truth About Benghazi, and he's got the Iranian Quds Force plus Hezbollah. The only true thing that I believe that came out of Obama's mouth in 8 years was that ISIS is his JV team, but he never told us who the major leagues were. And the major leagues is the Iranian Quds Force, the Hezbollah, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. They are the Iranian Global Terror Network. They are the major leagues. So Soleimani's the commander of Quds Force, and we know this. The senior regional sources say he has already been overseeing ground operations against insurgents in Syria, and is now at the heart of planning for the new Russian-Iranian-backed offensive. So we're getting reports. What's really crazy with this whole thing, and we don't know all the facts, because Syria is very confusing to me. We had Syrian rebels there, and they were trained. We gave them human assets, weapons, training, money, and we had 30, we had 50, we had 9. They gave their weapons to ISIS. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this whole thing is very confusing. Assad drew the chemical weapons on his people, and the Obama-Clinton crime family went before the Congress claiming that he went across the red line, but we know Obama sat on his hands, nothing happened. So Syria is, and then we see all these published pictures of Aleppo. So, I mean, civil war, what's going on? I mean, it's insane, right? So I'm going to go to my live show in a few minutes. I just wanted to bring out that it's quite obvious that if you look at the Obama-Clinton timeline, and I briefly went through it over here, the 18-part series that was blogged on the Frankie Russo .media, and all the sources are there. At the end of each funnel, Iran is there, and the culmination of the Obama-Clinton crime family is this Iranian fake, which I believe it is, which I believe it's statistically significant that it's a fake deal. It was a bribery. It was a bribe. That we got General Soleimani spearheading the Russian-Iranian alliance. Who is the Russian agent? Trump? So here's the question I'm going to leave you all. Okay? Based on all the data I put out, in all likelihood, in all probability, if you had to take an educated guess, who's the Russian agent? Trump? Obama? Based on all the data, based on what you know about the Russian, Iranian, Syrian alliance, Syria, for all intents and purposes, is Iran. So I mean, who's the agent? Obama. Obama is the agent. Hillary Clinton is the agent. Both of them are the agents. Hashtag Obama KGB, hashtag Hillary Clinton KGB. So basically, we're looking at Obamagate. We're looking at an agent a Russian agent conceivably in the White House that's helping. And what's really coming out now today, then I'm gonna go to my scope. What's really coming out now too is, for example, how Russia now is opening up its doors to conceivably, and I'll bring that in tomorrow. They're opening up talks with the Afghan Taliban, Hamas, maybe Hezbollah, maybe Al Qaeda, all of the Iranian proxies, all of the Iranian surrogates, all of the Iranian terror surrogates, guaranteed, because they talk about how valuable they are. Understand something. The Iranian Global Terror Network is a multi-billion-dollar business. And we talk about this. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, they control hundreds of companies they control. This is a very sophisticated network. They are not these thugs that they're portrayed to be by this ISIS thing. The ISIS, that's the first truthful statement Obama's made in his 8 years as president, that ISIS is the JV team. So I'm just saying, who is this? Who is the Russian agent? Because basically that's what this whole thing is, right? With this wiretapping and Flynn and Trump, and they're trying to put something on Trump. They're afraid because Trump was a, thank God we got Trump in the White House. That's all I got to say. But anyway, I just want to put that out there. I'm gonna look over. I got the New Yorker magazine article on General Soleimani. I'm gonna read that for tomorrow night, and I'll that one I'm gonna read, and I'll have some excerpts from that, and then I'll look for some more data on General Soleimani and Russia, and we're gonna see how far we can go with this, because I believe this is very telling. General Soleimani is a big player in this international scheme of this global international jihad throughout the entire world. I mean, don't forget Hezbollah, because Hezbollah is right there. They're the Shia terrorism arm of Iran. So, and that's why it's so unconscionable what Barack Obama did, the Obama administration did, by giving the $400 million to, I don't know how much, for $400 million to $1.3 billion of unmarked bills in a plane, in a wood pallets, in a plane in the heat of the night to some undisclosed location where the Iranian, conceivably, I got 4 sources, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, unmarked bills, so they could take money and they could just spread it around to their entire global terror network. They've just given Revolutionary Guard Corps, the world's largest state sponsor of terror, unmarked bills. It's crazy. I mean, this whole thing is that's why I laugh. It's laughable. Trump just got in. Trump just got in. He's only there 30 days. The guy couldn't even take a breath. He just didn't even get a chance to exhale, and they already got him a Russian agent. With all the stuff that went down with Obama and the Clinton Foundation and Iran, and the Clinton Foundation too with Russia. I mean, they're in this together, and the tie-in is the memorandum of understanding with the Clinton Foundation to the State Department. I mean, this whole thing is a criminal enterprise in the courtroom of American public opinion. And as always, Russo's got his disclaimer. Outside looking in, court papers, judges' decisions, peer-reviewed journal articles, and open source, well-researched open source articles. This is the Frankie Russo Show. I'll see you tomorrow night. I'm sorry I came on late. I just wanted to hear from my favorite broadcasters on my television broadcasters, Bill O'Reilly and Tucker Carlson. I want to hear their take on things. This is the Frankie Russo Show. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow night. I'll see you in the future.